Welcome to Snowbirds and RV Travelers, the weekly show for RV enthusiasts, where we talk about parks, activities, travel tips, trends, reviews, and the latest news affecting your RV experience. For more content and guest opportunities, head over to rvpodcast.com. That's rvpodcast.com. Good morning, everyone. We're here today with Justin Perrette, who's from Oracle Lighting. And he's got over 12 years of experience, including a 10-year tenure at Oracle Lighting. And he started with Oracle as an installer, and over the years has grown with the company into doing many things ranging from product development, shooting product video content, and traveling across the country educating dealers about the brand and its products. This podcast has been graciously sponsored by Soft Start RV, whose innovative and reliable products let you start your RV air conditioner more quietly with a lot less power. Visit softstart.ca, that's softstart.ca, for more info, reviews, and limited time discounts. Justin, I think last time we actually spoke face-to-face might have been in Saudi Arabia. Does that sound right? Were you at that show?
Yeah. I actually was hoping you brought that up. That was a really crazy experience. It was actually my first time out of the country, so a bit of a doozy for a first time.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It was a really, really good event. It was very crazy. A lot of logistics involved. Really astonishing that they pulled that off in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it was just within a few months they pulled this massive event off. Did you guys manage to do any business there? How did that work out for you?
We did okay. We didn't bring a ton of product back. We did sell some stuff out there. We acquired a few relationships. That was really the big part of that for us, was trying to establish some lines out, in that region.
Yeah. So we should get on to actually the reason why we're here, which is driving lights for RVs and probably the trucks that tow them. So I know Oracle, I think, typically does a lot of work with LEDs. And I guess my question is, from your perspective, a little bit more educated in the science and technology than mine, why are LEDs better than the incandescents that we've had in vehicles for decades?
Without getting too much in the weeds, LEDs are essentially better, mainly because you really, in layman's terms, you can make them brighter. You can drive them harder. With halogen bulbs, you're really fixed to a specific brightness. You really can't do much more without, drastically increasing the ambient heat inside of the lamp. Whereas LEDs, you can do that a lot more safely. And, in terms of heat, you can do things passively to mitigate that with heat sinks, fans. We've done, all of those types. We've tried different things with managing heat just from integrated circuits that just monitor and throttle the current based on the temperature of the bulb. There's so much technology, and it's growing year by year.
Yeah, it's actually spectacular, the results that I've seen, especially with some of your products. But I'm going to ask you too, now, what about halogens? I mean, they're pretty bright. They can be astounding as well. Do you guys do any work with halogen lights?
So halogen is going to be, what for the longest time was just, OE standard. That's just the OE equipment. From halogen went to HID, which might be what you're referring to.
I am.
For the high intensity discharge bulbs. And those, we still offer HID kits to this day. The difference between an HID bulb and an LED bulb, they're really night and day in terms of how they work. And, the HID bulbs rely on a very low pressure pocket of gas being ignited in the bulb. And that's what discharges light. Whereas, more of a solid state piece of tech like LED, you're not really relying on that gas, which does dissipate over time. And that's why you see, color and things maybe not seeming the same as when they were first installed over the span of like 5 years. But again, it is still something that we offer. not something that we really push as hard as the LED, especially when you're talking about driving lights, headlights. We have 3 different lines of high-powered LED bulbs that fit pretty much any budget or install need. And we offer those in virtually every size.
Nice. There's a lot of choices out there. So how does a person go about choosing a set of driving lights? Like, what are we looking for?
That's very dependent on the actual headlight. If we're talking about, replacing headlamps or fog lamps, that's going to be the main driving lights on most vehicles. It really depends on the lamp type, whether it's a reflector housing or a projector. There are a lot of vehicles that use a halogen bulb inside of a projector lamp, which all the projector does is basically just focuses the light in a more tightly controlled manner. Some LED bulbs might not be, very suitable for that, just depending on the construction of the projector. LEDs usually perform extremely well, better than halogen in any reflector type headlight. Me personally, I'd like to go as bright as possible, so I might gravitate more towards like our premium line of bulbs, which are roughly about 4,000 lumen. I'd say the main spec that people will usually look at when shopping for an LED bulb, for example, is lumens. That's going to be, the effective light that will actually be visible.
On an RV, whether it's a Class A motorcoach or I'm in my one-ton truck towing my 14,000-pound fifth wheel, driving down the highway, a lot of times the stock lamps, like in the Chevy, they're not good. Dodge Ram, the older trucks, an easy bake oven has a brighter light in it. What do we choose in order to get something that points farther down the road, brighter, and maybe a little bit out to the sides as well? I guess like what they call it, a flood pattern, in order to pick up, if you're driving rurally, cattle, horses, whatever, crossing the road. In Canada here, it could be moose or elk. How do we find that lamp? Like, what specs are we looking for in order, or do we need more than one set of lights? Do we need one that beams down the road and another one that lights up the sides?
Yeah, so there's really, in terms of forward lighting, we usually split things. So, if you're talking about peripheral visibility, an additional set of lights, auxiliary lights, would probably be the best bet for that. Something with more of a flood pattern. Understanding the different beam angles is really key to picking which lights work best for your application. Headlights and fog lights are usually going to take care of the straightforward light bars added in the front with like a combo driving beam angle could also work to add to the forward lighting. As far as peripheral visibility, seeing out to the sides, ditch lights, LED cubes can be mounted to the side of the vehicles using some sort of bracket. As far as a lot of the popular, not really something that we offer too much for RVs, but we do have some really cool integrated mirror products that have ditch lights built into them. But in terms of an RV, you'd do really well with some auxiliary mounted ditch lights if you're looking to see wider out to the sides. And yeah, spots usually only are really good for seeing things at a very close distance. Usually traveling at faster speeds. It's not very,
Right.
I don't see spotlights being very usable for actual driving on an RV. I'd use spotlights more for scene lighting, setting up under an awning or some type of work area that you might be using at night. That might be, the more beneficial use of a spotlight.
Right. And since you talk about it, I mean, I think that is a good idea. There are, for instance, my fifth wheel has that like an LED string light under the awning, but I can't do anything with it. So if it's too bright or too blue, I mean, that's it. I got to suck it up. That's what I've got. Does Oracle offer something for that kind of a spot lighting for ambiance that maybe I could change the color from a lighter light to something that's a little warmer? And even I think I saw it on somebody else's RV, and of course I had envy. they had lights that were underneath the RV that kind of lit things up from the bottom, which looked fantastic. Does Oracle have something like that, or do you know what can I do? How
Yeah,
can I do that?
absolutely. So, when you're talking about what they, string lighting, quote unquote, is we're referring to LED strip usually. And LED strip, we typically use that for more of accent lighting, mood lighting, something that's a little softer that you could, perhaps want to change to any color, whether it just be
No,
different shades of white or blue or purple or whatever fits your mood or theme or whatever you're trying to do at that point in time. Um, Underbody lighting as well.
right.
For the underside, we offer tons of different LED strip solutions for that, as well as different controller options that you can use to change colors, to change temperature, to set the mood. um, as far as work lights go and like actual utility lights, um, a really cool product that a lot of people don't know about is our LED scene light. So our LED scene light is it's about a 5-inch light that has an angled base, and it can be mounted high up. It can be mounted low. It's got so many different versatile options for mounting, and it's a spotlight. It's a white spotlight. True white. It's extremely bright. You could put 3 or 4 of those up right at the base of an awning, for example, on an RV, and it would light that entire area up, almost like lights would in a living room in your house.
Right. Are these the kind of lights that I could use backing up? Because that's the other thing for RVers, right? They're almost. It seems like there's never enough light, especially if you're in more of a rural or campsite that's a little bit more rustic.
Mhm.
Is that the same kind of light I would hook up on the back bumper of my RV in order
Yeah.
to flood the area with light so I could back up without hitting trees and picnic tables and my wife?
Yeah, you could use those same scene lights for that. That would actually look very good on an RV as well, just because it could also be recess mounted if you have the spaces for it.
Oh.
Also, our 7D LED cube lights would be great for that.
And I just want to circle around because there's another question that popped into my head. As far as mounting auxiliary driving lights in the front, how do you choose where to put them, like with the placement? How high from the ground, or how does that work?
In terms of ditch lighting, in a typical vehicle scenario, they would be mounted on the sides of the hood, like on the fenders up by the windshield.
Right.
Being that it's an RV, that whole geometry has changed of that part. Usually the RVs have a flat face where there isn't really a protruding engine compartment or anything like that. So, in my opinion, the best spot to mount something for peripheral visibility would probably be somewhere up on the mirror arms, the side mirrors.
No, so quite high.
Yeah, and height isn't really gonna make a ton of difference in a scenario like that. Again, it's very situation dependent. It depends on the height of the overall vehicle. You do want to take into consideration if you're going to be driving on the road with other traffic and you're going to have those lights on. You want to position those in a way where they're not going to be in everyone's mirrors, or especially if they're oncoming, if it's not going to be in direct line of sight. In terms of the U.S., you can't. It's not very legal to drive with auxiliary lights on public roads. Um, and I think in Canada, you guys have to have covers on those auxiliary lights, right?
It all depends on the height. This is my
Mm.
understanding, but people should actually, look it up for their own state or provincial
Yeah.
regulations. But my understanding here in BC is as long as the lights are mounted below or at the level of the headlights, you're all good. You don't need anything else. If you go above that, yes, you're right. You can't be driving on public roads unless you have covers on, and you certainly can't be driving around with them on because it would absolutely blind oncoming traffic.
And
Um,
and and that makes a lot of sense
yeah,
because it typically, if they're higher than the headlights and you turn them on with oncoming traffic, you're going to be in a situation where you're putting the light right in someone's eyes while
yeah.
they're driving, and that could be a safety hazard.
So here's a good one, maybe a little bit of a sensitive topic for you, maybe not. There are a vast difference in the prices of LED lights. You can go to your big box retailer, and an LED light bar is going to be $100, or you can buy the same size and it appears the same specs for $400. So why spend the $400? Do you get the value out of that?
Most of the things that you see on like your Amazon and your other marketplaces that are factory direct from China pieces, the QC on those are usually, poor, close to none. And yeah, you're buying a cheap product, but you're usually not getting a warranty with it. That may not matter to some people because, hey, it's so cheap, I just buy another one, right? But, when you start getting into that higher price point, you're usually going to find those being offered from companies like us who, we put a lot of resources into our customer support, warranty periods. We do a lot. We have a very comprehensive warranty policy on off-road products specifically because, you're going to use a light bar in an off-road situation. It might get beat up. It might
Yeah.
get, you might be in an off-roading situation where you sink that thing underwater, and we have a lot of different coverage options that can, really help someone in that situation. Whereas, you buy $100 light bar and try to reach one of the several manufacturers that produce those, and you're probably not going to get any support on that.
QC, by the way, quality control for the people that didn't pick up on that. The bulbs, the LEDs are not necessarily as bright because there's some variance in the manufacturing. My understanding is that all LEDs are not created equal either, not just
Correct.
the housings.
And there's a really comprehensive process that goes into choosing what LEDs can be used for production, what LEDs can't. There's different binning processes and different procedures when you're talking about the actual color, choosing the color temperature of a particular LED. There's so many things that go into it that, it's not just let's choose a batch of LEDs and go.
Right.
There's a pretty long vetting process that goes into choosing the right components to use for a specific product.
Yeah. So these aren't Lego blocks, for instance, that
No.
every piece is the same. It all snaps together. It all lasts just as long. Right.
No, there's going to be different LED sizes, LED types. There's going to be different driver components. There's going to be different drive capacities for different LEDs depending on the application. You can't just jam a super bright LED in everything and it be suitable.
Right. In fact, a lot of trucks now will have some kind of a backup camera, a backup assist. It lights up the hitch. Do you guys have a light? It doesn't have to be now super bright, but do you have a light that I can mount that will shine down on the hitch so I can use my backup camera and nail that hitch component?
Yeah, so that LED scene light that I was talking about is actually really great for that. And again, I know I've plugged that product a few times here, but it's such a versatile piece just due to the way that it can be mounted.
Yeah.
It's just you can put it pretty much anywhere.
So, and here's another question because we're talking about lights here, lights there. You were an installer. Is this a do-it-yourself thing? Like, can I buy my list of scene lighting and driving lights and wire this all up and hook it up into my cab? And do I need a set of switches, for instance, to select all my different lights?
Yeah.
Is it a do-it-yourself project?
It very much is. And, touching back to your point on different price points for different products, that's another thing that a company like us would offer, as opposed to your other generic box brands. We have a staff, we have a tech support staff who you can call into during business hours if you're having any type of trouble installing these products yourself. 9 out of 10 times we can walk you through how to do it over the phone or through email. We can provide diagrams. Part of what I do with the company is that, for each new product that we offer, I'll usually shoot a how-to video, how to do the install from start to finish. So there's a lot that goes into these products more than just the physical, tangible thing that you get in the box.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. So where would I go, for instance, to have a look at your products and see what works for me?
Yeah, so you can visit www.oraclelights.com. You can also give our sales staff a call at 800-407-5776. If you're looking for a little bit more personalized help, all of our sales team is, highly trained in, giving the right types of product recommendations. They'll ask you a few simple questions about your vehicle. They'll do a little bit of research on their end, and they'll figure out what's best for you, and you can go ahead and sort it out that way.
That was sort of my next question is, is there somebody there, I tell them that I have a Class C, which is basically, maybe it's like a Ford E450, and I want it to do this, this, and this. And rather than me try to do all that research on websites and stuff, can I call your guys and say, hey, I need to do this. This is my truck. What do you recommend? And they can tell
absolutely.
me? Yeah?
100%. And typically if one of our sales staff can't answer the question, they'll usually they'll run it by me or one of my team, and we can usually make we can do the right research. We can make the right recommendations.
Nice. Awesome. That was super. Justin, before I close off, is there something else that you thought, hey, this would be really good for RVers or people that are towing? Is there another product that you haven't mentioned? Something you're keeping in secret? Something that's coming out that I should be aware of?
Truth be told, we're just starting to navigate the RV market. It's not really been something that we've done a ton of in the past, but that is something that we're looking to shift our focus to, a little more as time goes by. So yeah, just stay tuned, and we may be coming out with some new products. I don't have anything on my list as of yet, but it is something we're looking into.
Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. Justin, thank you so much for your time today. I learned a lot. And let's chat again soon. Give me a call. Let me know when the new products come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Take care. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends. And if you'd like to hear more, please follow or subscribe. Your opinions are important, so please take a moment to share your ideas, comments on this show, or topics you'd like us to cover. For fun contests and picture submissions, check out our Instagram channel at Snowbirds RV Travelers. Snowbirds and RV Travelers is a Sun Cruiser Media production.